to use every opportunity that I could to work in my advantage for my business and use free marketing to do that. A little bit about my business. I started in 2015. I created a business online through the state of Pennsylvania. I did it part-time because at the time I worked for a custom cabinet manufacturer who did only cabinetry, millwork, etc. And they didn't do the full design of countertops and backsplash. And I had a few clients approach me asking if I would help them do the full thing. And at the time I was like, well, I'd love to do that, but I don't know if I can. So I actually started approaching my boss and I said, hey, would you mind if I did this outside of work and I'll do it on my own and I won't come in the loop with you guys and I'll just kind of start doing it. And he was like, absolutely. So that's kind of where I started. I started part-time on the side. I worked, let's call it 9 to 5, but it was really like 7 to 6:30, 7 o'clock. I'm sure everybody understands that. And then after hours and weekends, I would go to stone manufacturers and slabs and pick out backsplash tiles and paint colors. And this picture that you're looking at is actually one of the first kitchens that I fully designed and got photographed with Village and did the rest of the kitchen as well. And it was great because at the time, Village was trying to get more photography for their business. So I was able to have Village pay to get this job photographed, and I was able to still use the photography for my own personal use as well. So it kind of went hand in hand. And then, they had a fully designed kitchen. They had the photography and they didn't have to worry about the full design of it. So it kind of worked out for everybody. So how did I get there in 3 years? Like I said, I started working really long hours for somebody else. And then I decided that I could probably do this for myself. We'll get to that point. But I started working for somebody else. I worked a lot. I worked hard. I worked long hours. And then I started getting involved with places like NKBA because I was kitchen and bath related, and NARI, and started meeting people that I've never met there before. So that's kind of how I started. And I networked and I got my name out as a designer that worked for Village. So I was still promoting Village and I was still getting my own personal name out there, still meeting new people, so that if I worked for Village and I didn't know a contractor and somebody asked if I had one, I could, refer them and then work with them through Village, through this company I worked for, and just kind of continue it that way. All of these events, as you're aware, like IFDA, some of them have what's called a CEU or a continuing education. And it's a fabulous way, even if you don't need the CEUs, just to learn more about something, because there's just so much out there and there's so much product and everything that your ears could explode. So that's one way to do it. And then I just, like I said, used every opportunity to promote myself. And at the same time, I used my own personal social media to boost my company, Village, that I worked for, as well as myself. So I was the designer for Village. I tagged Village in my designs, and then it promoted myself and it promoted them as well. So it went hand in hand. And how did this help me? This helped me because in my back pocket, I was keeping, my resource library is what I call it, of business cards, people I liked working with through Village, people that I thought did a great job, people that were really good at details, people that I enjoyed working with. And that just allowed me, so that when I decided to take that giant leap, which I never thought would happen, I had that list already there and they already knew who I was and I already knew who they were. So it kind of made the transition a lot easier. I also got to learn a lot of things that I didn't know when I worked there. If you don't know, so that cabinet company is a custom cabinet company in Lansdale. They manufacture cabinets. I went in that job not knowing a single thing about cabinetry. And the beauty is that I found a mentor there that knew everything about cabinetry. So if I had a question, which I had a ton, I would able to go to the shop, see it in person and understand how the cabinets are put together, why they're put together the way, what thickness the cabinets are. Do I want plywood or particle board? Do I want solid core or MDF? So it just, the details and the aspect of how things were built was like my little cup of tea in the morning. Like I enjoyed learning all of those things. And then in the meantime, I started a website. So I started a website on Squarespace. There is a fee with that. But that also allowed me to create my own email, my own, designsbykatylynn.com. I could start building a portfolio before I officially launched myself. And then this also helped me find my reps. So I was able to figure out who I could call if I needed help with cabinetry or, plumbing or electric or, in that aspect, it was all kitchen and bath related. So here is social media. So currently, these are my two social medias, Instagram and Facebook, which benefit me greatly. The more you post and tag and hashtag and link them together, the more you can get that outreach, and everything is linked together. So I post on Instagram and it goes right to Facebook. Facebook is great because there's also a lot of groups that are for remodeling. So I'm part of a mainline remodelers group, and you have no idea how many people are on there asking for designers and builders and whatnot. And I've actually found that even a small job I get from there, just a bathroom, is a job, and I could make a couple $1,000s on something that I wouldn't normally have. So for me, social media is a free way. I will underline the word free way to market yourself. So for me, that works perfectly. And these are a lot of things that I, jumping into owning my own business, feel like I did not learn in school at all. If you're not taking a business class, you're not learning how to bookkeep, invoice, things like that. You're not learning how to deal with clients in real life. The clients that just have to have that chair in that fabric that is unavailable or discontinued, and they don't care how you have to get it, they need to have it. I didn't learn how to run more than one design project at a time. I didn't learn how to purchase things from clients, how to do it. What should I mark it up? How do I bill? Where do I charge? How do I work with a contractor and other trades to not just be just another designer that's going to hold up their project? How do I manage my time so that it doesn't manage me, which gets me a lot and still does to this day? How to establish a business or an EIN number, or to protect yourself with an LLC or insurance, and how to make a contract, how to protect yourself basically in a business. So a lot of it is teaching it myself and learning it with YouTube tutorials. QuickBooks, I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but the easiest thing I did was I Googled a lot of it. How do I get an EIN number in the state of PA? I Googled it. That's how I did it. I filled out the application. I got it all set up. And once I established that EIN number, I was able to open accounts to wherever I really wanted to, for the most part, as long as they would take me. So these are just some of the places that I've learned it. I am in the car a lot. I'm driving to appointments. I am constantly on the road. So I listen to a ton of podcasts. And as a student, I would highly, highly, highly recommend Luann Nigara's podcast, The Well-Designed Business. I probably listen to every single podcast she's ever done, including Renee's. I don't remember which episode it is, but I'm sure she can tell you what number it is. She also has a bunch of books. I just finished The Making of a Well-Designed Business. It's a fabulous read. I stumbled upon The Intentional Leader by Kristen Blakemore. She actually talks about how to be a great leader and not be somebody who just demands things. And, I don't work with anybody right now aside from myself in my office, let's say, but I think it takes a lot more leadership skills to work with other trades. And that is a great book to read if you're having issues working with people in your trade, just different people all over. Um, Tori Johnson's Spark and Hustle was probably one of the first books, aside from the E-Myth Revisited, that I've read. It's just a fun book, and how to launch and grow your business. And then the E-Myth Revisited, I think everybody who's anybody will probably tell you that you need to buy that book to start a business. I recently stumbled upon the Interior Design Productivity Toolbox, which for me wasn't as helpful, but if I was starting out, I think it's a fabulous book, and I actually have it right here. They actually send you the book, and then they also send you a PDF, and you can download checklists for bathroom design. Don't forget to measure XYZ. Make sure you think about where the plumbing's coming out of, what not to forget when measuring a space or surveying, things like that. So these are all the books and things like that I listen to and read. So I also learned a lot of this by working for somebody else. If I learned anything from school, my professor said, do yourself a favor, work for somebody else before you work for yourself. And I think the biggest reason was because you can learn on their dime versus if you make a mistake, which it will happen. And you'll just kind of learn as you go. And then when you're ready to take that leap, then at least you have the experience. It helps you to figure out billing. It helps you get into these networking without having to pay the fees if you don't want to get into that. It helps you figure out how to deal with clients. And then it also helped me organize my projects. I have a binder for every project I have. They're all sitting behind me. That's why this lovely picture is behind me. I probably have 13 projects going on right now. And if I wasn't organized, I would lose everything that's in my head going crazy. So that's pretty much that aspect of it. And lastly, find a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, I think it's a great opportunity to just have that person that's been there and wants to teach and will help you out. I don't know how many times I've had a question and I'm just like, who do I call? You call your mentor, or you call somebody in the business with you and they will help you kind of go through it. And lastly, ask questions. I still to this day ask questions. If it's to a builder and he's building something a certain way, I want to know why it's built that way, because then when I'm drawing the drawings, I know why I need a 14-foot lam beam going across here because I have a stud and blah 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 blah. So if you're not sure, don't be afraid to ask questions. It shows that you're willing to learn, and most people are willing to teach you why. So I highly, highly recommend asking questions. Start slow. If you're not sure, this is kind of for you. I say I started slow, but then when I jumped into it full time, I kind of went off with a bang. So I started slow because I worked for somebody else. Only if they allow it. If you're working for another interior designer, they probably will not let you, but you just have to approach them. Charge what you're worth. Don't ever work for free. I've learned this the hard way. Don't work for free and charge what you're worth. Your time is super valuable, and people will value your time if you charge. And only do what you're comfortable doing. If somebody's asking you to build a house and you've never built a house before, just be upfront with them. Hey, this is my first time doing it. I haven't done this before. So these are kind of the steps that I've listed out to help you kind of like start your business. Establish your business name. What is it? I did Designs by Katy Lynn. I started it off with Designs by Katy. I Googled Designs by Katy and 17 Designs by Katy came up. And I was like, I don't want to be one of the 7 people that are there. So I just added my middle name to it. And that's kind of how I established my business. Build your website, about me, images of projects, build your social media for your business. Try to keep your personal stuff on a different page. I keep mine in my stories and occasionally have a picture of, my crazy children pop up from here to there, and then link everything. Make sure your Instagram's linked to your Facebook, so you're taking your time and managing it accordingly. So if you're posting to Instagram, it's posting to everything else for you. It takes all of the time out of everything. Get an email just for your business. Like I said, with Squarespace, most of those will actually give you an at Designs by Katy Lynn. So my email is at Designs by Katy Lynn. My web address is designsbykatylynn.com. Open your EIN or your tax ID. Again, when in doubt, Google it. Create a logo. Reach out to a graphic designer or do it yourself, and create yourself a logo. Make business cards. And then I also didn't realize it until it was a little too late for me, but create a bank account. People are going to start writing you checks. You have to have an account to get it into. So that's kind of what I did. I went to my bank. I have a TD Bank, and I said, hey, I have an EIN number. Can I open a bank account? And that's kind of how I established that. So when people wrote me checks, I had no problem. I just deposited it right away. So this is kind of how I started doing my design concepts, and I still use it to this day. This is a project I'm currently working on. This is a lower level basement. This is in PowerPoint. I grab images from the web. I find and source things. I screenshot them. I import them in, and I just kind of go from there. So this gives clients, if you don't have the 3D capability, to give them an essence of the space without giving them the 3D and spending the time that it takes to make and build that 3D. So this is just a way, and always, always, always put your logo on it somewhere, way or another. Brand it so that everybody knows that that's yours, no matter who they show. Your name is on that somewhere. Contracts, the fun. I just maybe 2 years ago started getting my contracts more in order. This is the biggest thing, that is the most difficult thing that I think will not really show you in school as much. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but they protect you and your client. They say, okay, this is the work that's being done. This is what you're paying me to do it, and we're agreeing on this. So if somebody decides to cancel last minute, there's a clause in there. Okay, well, if you want to cancel your services, you have to tell me in writing within 24 hours, and then we agree upon it. You pay me what the balance is, and we kind of go our separate ways. This also is a huge thing right now that I find that a lot of clients are not willing to do: photography and publicity, which goes back to your social media. I put a huge thing in here about photography, only because there are some clients that don't want their stuff on social media. They don't want people to see their homes. So in my contract, I have it stating that I can post pictures of progress. I can get final photos taken at the end. And your name and your address will not be given, but they are mine to use for my website, magazine covers, whatever I can get them into, I can use them for. And this just basically takes that question out of it, because I've found that some people don't want their stuff to be seen. So that's contracts. This lovely project, which is also the picture behind me, this was the first job I did by myself on my own. Scared the daylights out of me. This client had what we call a track home, a development home. They added an addition on. They've lived there for 25 years. They didn't want to move. And I actually met them through the company I worked for. So I worked for Village Handcrafted Cabinetry. I was pregnant with my first daughter. They approached, I was going to work with them to do a TV built-in unit. Very traditional house. All they wanted was the built-in unit. And I looked at my boss and I said, we're going to do this built-in, and the rest of the house is going to still look the same. And I had my daughter, and I think it was 8 months after she was born, I had an email that said, hey, we're doing a fairly larger project than we originally anticipated, and we want your help. Are you still willing to do it? And I was like, sure. Oh, by the way, we're putting a pool in our basement. And I was like, a what? A pool. They put a pool in their basement. Why? Because they could. Why not? I mean, who doesn't have a pool in their basement? So this was my first big project. So that's why I say use every single opportunity to put your name out there. If somebody enjoys working with you, they're going to figure out how to get a hold of you. I still to this day have people contact my old company trying to find me and reach out to me. And I've never done a pool in a basement. I've never worked with things like this. This picture to me has so much blood, sweat, and tears in it because there's so much in the ceiling that you don't even know what we went through to get this all working out. I am so passionate about my job that I lost sleep over this pool. I'll tell the short version, but the contractor told me one day, we're going to put these skylights up and we have to put venting up. So we're going to put what's called a duck sock. It is a 12-inch round black sock round that is going to go from the back right corner of the pool. It's going to come over under the skylights and it's going to vent and get the whole area so that it's acclimated. And I said, so let me get this straight. You're going to put these awesome skylights in, and then you're going to put a 12-inch round duct in front of it. So listen, we're losing sleep. I'm losing sleep over this. We have to go back to the drawing board. So that's where the contractor and I figured out a way to get it hidden in that ceiling and make it a design detail. Looking at this picture, you wouldn't think all of that happened, but back in the back of my head, the details will matter. If I would have put a black sock HVAC in this pool, you would not have had the feeling or the look or the detail that went along with it in this picture. So work with your people, find the people that work with you well. And again, it all kind of goes really hand in hand. This is the same project. We did the whole house, and halfway through the renovation, they decided they wanted to do their master bathroom and the other 2 bathrooms upstairs. So we're in finishing downstairs and now we're demoing upstairs. So this master bathroom had a hallway, let's call it, of a space and a skylight in the toilet room. And I looked at it and I said, how would you guys feel about moving the skylight into the shower and making it bigger and making it a feature? They were like, sure, let's do it. So that's why I have this lovely quote here. Another one of my professors always told me, never underestimate your client's wallet. It is 100% true. If you show a client what their budget is, and then you show a client what they could actually have and spend a little bit more, 9 out of 10 times, they're going to spend a little bit more. And you're going to have this type of outcome. We put a rain head in a skylight in their master shower. We did radius crown work. We did a $178 a square foot, I think it was, Walker Zanger tile in the back of the shower. And the tile around it is $6 a square foot porcelain that looks like marble. So there's ways to do it. And this is all the behind the scenes. So while I was doing this lovely project, I got pregnant with my twins, and I had to tell the client, look, now that you added these 3 bathrooms, I am going to be pregnant and due in the middle of your project. And I said, and if you want me to continue working on this, I'm totally fine with it, but I need you to be okay with the fact that my kids are going to be on site with me. And she said, sure, bring them over. She didn't live there. So I carted my twins to the house in my double stroller. They slept in one of the bedrooms that was not being touched. If I needed to take them around the house, you'll see on the right, I wore them on my chest and was able to still get my job done while doing my work. It was the best of both worlds. I mean, like I said, just be honest with everybody and upfront. This was one of my most fun projects I've ever worked on. One, because it was a no budget job, which is like what I call a unicorn job. But 2, I was able to bring my kids to work with me and still charge my client and still have my kids around. So that's kind of like a little behind the scenes, and I had some fun with it too. No matter how hard you work, somebody is always going to be working harder. A lot of people ask me how I do it. For instance, last night, all of my kids went to bed and I came down to my office. A lot of work gets done after hours, early in the morning. I was on vacation last week. I was working, so you have to just take that into account that, yeah, some people can take vacations, but I work better knowing that my stuff is done and people are taken care of. Even if I'm on vacation, it gives me less stress when I get home, even though I still have piles of paperwork. But It's part of the reality if you want to have and establish a great business and know that your clients know that you're there all the time. You just have to work hard. And these are some of the issues with that job that came along with it. So, like, how do you deal with these things before they become an issue to a client? So, from afar, this is the basement. It's beautiful. There's a TV, there's a fireplace, there's built ins. But then you get up close and you see some imperfections in the paint. What do you do? How do you deal with it before the client sees it and starts flipping out because there's a paint chip? It happens all the time because little things like this become big issues if you don't address them right away. So I am very hands-on. I like to be on my jobs as much as I can be. So I was on this job a lot. Cabinetry was getting installed and I'm inspecting it after it's installed for things like this. So what did I do? I called and took pictures right away. I just talked to people. I talked to my people. So the first thing to do when there's a problem, this was also the same client. We ordered furniture and there were 3 nail heads missing and she caught it before I did. And I kind of just blew it off and it became the biggest pain in the butt ever. That's why I'm saying always, always, always inspect your stuff. Always try to take care of it before it becomes a bigger issue. The biggest thing I always say is don't panic. And in my head, I'm always panicking because I just know the worst outcome of it is a client flipping out for no reason. Reach out to your reps, reach out to your subs, take pictures and send them to them immediately. Hey, just saw this on site. There's a small issue. What can you do? And then I always, always, always follow up with a phone call. Emails can get in junk mail. It can get, just glanced over. Hey, just wanted to let you know I sent you an email. There's a small issue. Can you take care of it for me? And I always ask, how quickly do you think you can get this turned around? Because a client doesn't care how the problem is going to get fixed. They care when it's going to get fixed. They want to know how long it's going to get fixed. So I always try to get a time frame from people. And then once you have all the answers, then talk to your clients if it's a necessary basis. This client was very hands-on, so it was very, very necessary. The details are not the details. They make the design. This is the same project. These details were like my love, like I said, it's a unicorn project. Every aspect, the top left picture is of her sitting room. So we had this chandelier picked out and I was like, okay, let's add, this circular molding around it and make it a focal and make the ceiling part of the space, make it the fifth wall. The picture on the upper right is the same picture. It's actually behind me. This is the dining room. We created these custom screens. And little do you know, there's actually a support beam in one of these columns. So instead of just having a wall built, we made it a feature, but you would never know that because it's all taken care of. And again, we did a tray ceiling and added some decorative molding and, made it a feature. And then the bottom left picture is of their breakfast sitting room, which wasn't fully complete when I took this picture. But again, they had these, lantern skylights and, I was like, all right, well, how can we, we've done a ceiling detail in every room. Let's continue the process. So we did a shiplap on the ceiling and then, did it with the room. So it kind of highlighted this lantern in the ceiling. So all of these details really make or break the space. Why finding good reps and subs are important. They know their product and they do it well. They know their product to sell it. They want to continue to work with you. They want to aim to please you because they want to work with you. They're so knowledgeable. And if you can work together, I can't stress this enough, it will benefit you tremendously. This was the same project. I really wanted to not have an outlet plate on the panel in the pass-through. So I said, hey, let's just route it out of the back and pop it through. And he was like, that's an awesome idea. But what happens if it goes bad? How do I access it? How do I get it out? So I worked with him to figure out how we could create an access panel in the back of that cabinet to make it all work. So like, if I didn't work well with this GC and this contractor and all the subs that went along with it, this entire project would have gone south. So little details like this and working together with all the people that you enjoy working with, help make the design. How do I manage it all? One, I am like anally organized. Like I said, have binders for everything. Everything has a tab associated with it. I have invoices, quotes, furniture selections, drawings, dimensions, everything that I could possibly need in a binder, I have in a binder. Um, I personally now have a start and stop time. Before I had kids, I just kind of went and did it. I have a start time after I drop my daughter off at school, I start working. And I try to stop working when I pick my daughter up. And then if I need to start again, after kids go to bed. So that's kind of how I manage it and still make room for my kids and my family. Um, Coffee is my best friend. I am a coffee addict. I'm at Starbucks almost every day, sometimes twice a day. I can't help it. Communication. This is probably the biggest thing. I sometimes am over honest with clients, but I find that they appreciate it because they understand that I'm honest. I don't just, ghost them and just ignore them. I found that even if you say, "Hey, I'm still working on your drawings," even though I promised them to you last week, that communication goes a long way because in their eyes, you forgot about them. You took their money and run. So I communicate as much as I can. "Hey, I expect to have your drawings done by XYZ. It's going to take me 4 weeks to do this," or something along those lines. And I just kind of communicate with them nonstop, whether it's text, email, whatever. I also set expectations. Um, if a client wants to have, okay, this picture in the bottom with the dog shower, they wanted to do these awesome river rocks. And if there's any contractors that you've worked with, they will say they absolutely hate these. Why? Because they never line up. They have to place them by hand. So for expectations, if we had a timeline in order, I would say, "Hey, just so you know, we picked this river rock, but it's going to take longer to install because of XYZ, and we might be a day later than we normally promised." And again, I said I worked after kids go to bed or spouses, significant others, whoever is needing your time, and hire when needed. I am actually in the process of hiring a bookkeeper, hiring a part-time employee. I need to start delegating things because I'm getting to the point where I'm too busy. So I've decided that this is the time for me to do that. And lastly, have fun. You see, I have a lot of fun when I work. I have my kids strapped to my chest. I had a photographer taking photos. She then took pictures of me and my kids. On the top right is actually that same client that changed her mind so many times that we required her to sign the wall in the bathroom that she was good with the entire design. So like I said, just have fun with it. You signed up to do this job because you wanted to do it because it's fun. Everybody that I talk to says you must love what you do. And yes, I do. But there are times when I just want to be like, I'm done. I'm done. But at the end of the day, you know that if you get all these checklists off, that you're going to have a good time doing it and you're going to enjoy your job, and it's not going to be a job anymore. It's going to be something that you're helping clients do and, build their dream home or, get their dream kitchen or, get them this awesome family room that they've always dreamed and wanted of. So you just remember to have a good time, and clients will feed off of that as well. This is something I wish people told me when I was in school. This is actually my own personal bathroom. I decided to renovate this in my own home, and I used it for my own personal use. I got it photographed. Again, it wasn't fully done at the time. Now I'm looking at it going, "Oh, I probably should have put a window treatment up. Where's the toilet paper holder? Why are there no towels?" But guess what? Somebody's looking at that. They're not necessarily looking at that. They're looking at the product. They're looking at, "Oh, look at that cool graphic on the floor," or "Look at the blue vanity with the gold." So I used this as an opportunity to put it on my website, my social media, do a before and after. Um, so these are things I wish somebody told me. One, you will make a mistake at some point. It's inevitable. We're human. We make mistakes. It's going to be okay. Two, not every client is your client. I've learned this the hard way. I've learned that I don't necessarily want to do a paint consult anymore. When I started out, absolutely, I'll do a paint consult every single day of my life. Now I almost couldn't be bothered with it, sadly. So it's not, every client isn't your client. When you interview them, they're interviewing you, and it's dual. You know, if you start talking to a client and it's your first meeting and they're like, I have to have this, it has to be done by Thanksgiving. And you're just like, listen, lady, it's not doable. And they just fight you back. It might be time to walk away. Not every client is going to be your, home run. I wish I would have taken a business class if I was still in school, even just to figure out these fun little things that I've mentioned: QuickBooks, contracts, how to bill, things like that. Take pictures of anything that inspires you. I'm on vacation, or somebody's ripping out this really cool stained glass in their front door. Take a picture of it. You never know when it could be an inspiration for a design, or you could help somebody out by being like, oh, I saw this really cool picture of a ceiling. Would you be interested in doing it? Read more. I used to stink at reading, and now it's one of my favorite things to do. I read a lot about business just because it inspires me and helps me. People love before and afters. Another professor always told me people like shiny objects, which I've still found true. But before and afters, people love seeing where you were and where you got. It's the coolest thing ever, because look at that hideous bathroom right there, guys. Maroon on maroon on maroon. And look at where we are now. So, and practice in your own space if you can, whether it's paint, whether it's furniture, whether you're moving things around. Take pictures of the before and after, and then post it. And lastly, go to trade shows. I've been to KBIS a few times, which is the National Kitchen and Bath Association. I haven't been to High Point Market yet. That's the next one I'm going to once everything opens back up. But there's just NeoCon, and there's so many. I mean, if you can go to them, go to them. There's so many different products that are new. And if you know them before your clients know them, then you have one up on them. And this is it. This is all of my handles. So this is my email if you want to get in touch with me. This is my website if you want to check out my website. My Instagram, my Facebook. Again, everything's linked to it. You go to my website and everything's at the bottom, and you can click on it. So it's just a way to keep things moving and keep everything organized and together. And that's it. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I'm going to just put up this one about IFDA while we're talking. So go ahead, Renee.
Oh, I was just going to say thank you, Katy. You had a lot of great points in there, especially the one about Luann and her podcast. It was episode 473, by the way.
I knew you'd have it.
No, but I have a couple questions. I want to open it up to everybody. And, but my first one was photography. Like, how much and how important do you think professional photography is?
I think that if you find the right photographer for the right price, I think it's worth it. Like the woman I work with, Linda McManus, she's freaking awesome. She charges so much less than other people do in comparison that I've had, and you get so many more shots for it. So for me, it's actually built a relationship. I consider her one of my really good friends now. But for me, I try to use her on larger projects, and then on smaller projects where somebody's like, hey, can you just style my shelving? I just take an iPhone picture of that. There's no reason to take a full photograph of it. But if it's something that you're starting out and you need to build that portfolio, if you have the right job, I think it's totally worth it.
And then I want to open up to everybody, so if they can unmute themselves. But I have one more question. You said you had a job the day after graduation. So did you intern with them?
No, so I started, they actually sent, so Village Handcrafted Cabinetry sent an email to Drexel, said, this is what we're looking for. I applied for the job. I interviewed 2 times while I was still in school, and they said, can you start? And I said, I can start the day after I graduate. And I literally graduated on a Saturday and I started there on a Monday. Where everybody else was taking these awesome, summer vacations. We just graduated. I'm like, I'm going right to work.
I think we have a question from Alexander. Do you want to unmute yourself, Alexander?
Too. There we go. Hold on.
I can read it for you, but
Would you recommend us who wants to open a firm to work in a small startup firm or a large firm after graduation?
oh, she can't unmute herself. She's at work.
Um, it depends. So you have to do what's right for you. If you want to establish your business sooner rather than later, it might work better for you to work with a small firm, because I feel like the smaller the firm, the more you learn. And that didn't rhyme on purpose, but it worked out somehow that way. If you're working for a large firm, they're gonna not always help you out if you have questions. Those smaller, more intimate places are where you can say, why are we doing this window treatment this way? Or, why are we choosing this fabric? Or why did we just put paneling here? Or why do we need outlets here? Or things like that. And I feel like it's gonna help you learn more because you're gonna be doing more typically in a small startup firm as well. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, she can't reply. She's at work, but
That's okay. That does. Okay, cool.
I had one other thing. You had mentioned contracts and how important they were. I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but Sandra Funk from House of Funk just put out this project called the Interior Design Standard, where she started out in finance and then opened up her own firm. But she is allowing people to purchase all her contracts, everything. She's had them vetted by attorneys for years and years.
Wow.
And years. So it's kind of a way, I mean, you are going to pay for her program, but it's probably going to save you more than triple that in attorney's fees to get your own contract.
Totally. So funny story, my contract, I Googled.
Did you?
So I Googled how to make a contract for interior designers. I searched probably for an entire day, found 5 that I liked, and made them, took, a little bit of, I like this one about photography. I like this one about fees. And then I kind of just made it into my own and geared it towards me. So that's actually how I did mine. But a lot of people will tell you to go to a lawyer and get it legally done. Yeah. But it's kind of up to you.
Yeah, but they're really important. So
that's awesome. Yeah. And I've learned a lot that working for friends is very difficult as well, because they always expect things for free. So that's one of the biggest things that I said, like, try not to work for free. Like, I don't know how many times I've been burned by a friend that just needed help. Like, you are a designer, you have to know what you're worth and know that your time is valuable.
Speaking of which, Matt, send me a consult fee for the shutter.
Oh, you didn't get that yet? You didn't get it yet?
I'm sending it over right now.
You owe me drinks.
Does anybody else have any other questions? We'd love for you guys to unmute and ask them if you'd like. I think we have just a few more minutes too. The other thing that I like that I thought was really important, because it's especially important in our industry, was to be honest and set client expectations. Cannot stress that enough. Like, just being brutal
by working with somebody else.
Just being
honest. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Even like we try to do the Monday, Friday, like we always, even if we don't have information, we just say, hey, hope you have a great weekend. Still haven't heard on XYZ. We'll follow back up on Monday. And that way, just they know they expect you either way, like, to keep updated, like, because like she said, you don't want to look like you're taking money and running. So more over communication is better than under, for sure.
Agreed. And I tend to over communicate, whether it's like email, like, hey, just wanted to let you know, still working on these drawings. I'll get them over to you this week. And I try not to promise like an actual day, but just say this week, just so that it gives me a little bit of time, because there's so many times where somebody calls me and they're like, hey, we have this issue, we need you to come out here. And that was the time I allocated to do those drawings. So everybody has their own way to do it, for sure.
I have a question. I just wanted to understand, when you have a bigger project, how do you communicate with the client? Do you do 3D drawings like SketchUp, or you do CAD, or you just do PowerPoint slides, as you mentioned? So what is the way of communication and showing to the client?
So it's been changing since I started my business. I am a CAD guru. I am obsessed with CAD because it's very accurate. with lines. You draw a line that's 33 inches, it's at 33 inches and 15/16 if you want it to be. I find that depending on the job, like this job behind me, I drew this entire job in CAD. I drew elevations, and they had an architect too that drew it, but they only drew plans and they drew the exterior of the house. So the client was like, well, what's this dining room look like? And I didn't have the time with the amount of work involved with this job to draw it in 3D. So I chose to draw it in CAD because for me, I could draw it quicker and I could show a client that this is what it's going to look like in elevation. And I would just, you know, put color on top of it. Or actually for this, in this job in particular, for the pool, I sketched the entire pool in hand. I rendered it by hand with prism markers. And I showed her, this is what I'm thinking about for your ceiling. So for this project I did CAD, I'm actually currently this week and next week taking online classes for chief architect because I bought it last year and I haven't had the time to learn it. So it's going to change for everybody. Google SketchUp is great because it's free. You can also import CADs into it and then elevate off of that. So I've used that a lot. But hand sketching to me right now is the quickest way for me to show a client what something is going to look like. And, you know, it's easy to do a perspective if you learn it in school. Typically, they teach you by hand first. So for me, I would just be like, hold on, let me sketch it up really quick. And I would just, you know, go on a draw and I would just draw it and be like, here, this is what I'm thinking. And then they'd be like, well, what color is it going to be? And I would say, okay, let me go home and I'll put some color to it and then I'll send it back over to you.
Okay.
Hand sketches are beautiful too. There's something.
I love drawing by hand. There's something just so like free form about it. And I find that clients feel that it's not so stuck in stone when it's on a computer and a 2D drawing, that it's fluid. So it has subject to change, if that makes sense. Where the more solidified stuff is very kind of like, okay, this is how it's going to be. You know, this is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, we talked about photography and media. You said you got a lot of things published, which I think is really important. So I just want to kind of remind everybody too, on September 18th, we have Amy Fleury, who's going to be doing a presentation about how to get published. So once you get those great projects and you get them photographed, like you did a really good job, Katie, how to get them published and what publishers and editors are looking for. So if you guys,
just a clause. This one did not have my big contract and they decided they didn't want it in any magazines after we did it. So there's that. I know that's probably the biggest, this house behind me and all the pictures you saw today was the biggest reason I added that clause to my contract. Because I was like, are you kidding me? We started this project and you said I want it on the cover of a magazine. I want it in every magazine around. And they changed their mind at the end of the project and I can't do anything about it. You know, they said that you can use it for your website and your personal use, but you cannot put it on magazines. And I was like, bummer.
Yeah, because that was your unicorn.
It was I have another one coming up though. So I'm super excited about it.
Good. Hey, does anybody have any more questions? If not, I'm going to turn it over to Shandini and she can tell you a little bit about IFDA and what we offer for students.
Yeah, hi everyone. Welcome. Katie, this was a great presentation. Thank you so much for doing our third star.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we had 3 sessions of student stars, and this was the third one and the last one. We had a great representation from people, all from students, from IFD members and non-members. And Katie gave us great points, it was a great insight in her world. It was about social media and how to deal with clients and the podcasts and stuff like that she's doing, and she's into it. So that was great. Thank you so much. So for IFDA, I would say that IFDA has the Educational Foundation, which gives scholarships. So do visit to www.ifda ifdea.org and get more information on IFDA scholarships. And every year we donate around 30,000 scholarships, dollars of scholarships. So it will be great opportunity. And IFDA is doing much more beside these STIR events. It's every month we have events which are very educational and informative. So do log in and do register for these events, I would say. Thank you so much for coming in for today, and back to Renee.
Oh, thank you. And if you guys haven't had the opportunity, on our website, there is some information. We have discounted rates right now, especially for students to join. Once things open up, we have in-person events all the time. A lot of them are educational, but like I mentioned, right now we're doing online events. Like we have Amy Fleur on September 18th. So there's always opportunities to learn. We keep in touch with each other, and it's a great bank of experience of professionals to draw upon. So if you're looking for a contractor or you need an electrician and you don't know where to turn to, I mean, you can email, text Katy or Mary or Matthew and ask them who they use, especially in a pinch. Then it's a trade person that you can count on. So I feel like, especially for students that are just getting started and are going to have to build their bank of trades, it's good to know that you have somebody or that they relied upon, because trades can make or break a project. So I would definitely highly encourage you guys to get involved with IFDA, and we'd love to have you as well. So
I completely agree.
Yeah. All right. So we're actually going to have a recording of this. This is going to be put up on our IFDA Philly YouTube channel in a couple days. So if you want to refer back to it, or there was any books, Katy mentioned some really good resources that she listens to. So it'll be on our IFDA Philly YouTube. But if anybody else wants a copy of it beforehand, just let me know and I can email it to you. Okay.
And if anybody wants to reach out to me, feel free. I'll give you whatever information you need. I'll put my email in the chat.
Oh, that's great. And I feel like all our IFDA members are pretty open. If anybody reaches out, needs help, I've never known anybody to be turned down.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Kaharu, thank you so much. Thank you all for
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Great job, Chandini. Thank you, Katy.
Yeah, great job,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.